Hello, my name is Hunter. I'm currently a cybersecurity major in college right now in my junior year. As someone pursuing cybersecurity, it is important that we keep ourselves safe on the internet as well as limit the control it has over us. The best way to keep yourself safe on the internet is just to simply use it less, which is my reason for making this series. This is my guide to internet freedom, a series of movie-length videos that go over in excruciating detail how you can free yourself on the internet mentally and physically. My reason for making this series on social media specifically is because I want to help as many young people my age as I can with their mental health problems that are pushing them back from achieving satisfaction in life, from achieving greatness. More and more, I see my fellow young people turning to drugs and alcohol, becoming depressed and lonely, and even ending themselves. While I don't have a be-all solution to these societal problems, I think we could start with the smaller things to start to turn our lives around. For the better, of course. Even when I try to find some advice for leaving social media, I get a bunch of random tips and advice from these YouTubers rather than some realistic plan that allows you some control, that considers the worst. Because what a lot of these YouTubers will do is they'll make this plan and just don't use it for 7 days. Don't do dopamine detox or whatever. And that may work for you, but you might realize very quickly that might not be for everyone. But I'm different. I'm insane. Controlling social media is one of the first steps that you could do to find your purpose. Because I believe it is in our common interest to try and better our lives, to try to have purpose and meaning in our lives, so that we can help society. There's some good that could come from these social media sites, admittedly, and I'll talk about that. But as you'll come to see, they're holding you back from greatness in more ways than you could count. In some cases, it can be outright dangerous. I talked to quite a few friends in real life, and they say social media was a mistake. Or they say that I'm addicted to social media. I can't get off. I can't get off Instagram. I can't get off TikTok. I can't get off Twitter. Whatever social media. But I see a very common pattern among these people that say that kind of stuff. They never really speak about it to any of their other friends. They mostly tell that to me, as someone who's literally done the work to quit this social media. In fact, they're kind of afraid to speak that honesty out to their friends. But they know deep down that it's bad for them. The guard has already told them, yeah, please stop using this. This is hurts. Nothing. Nothing's done. Your gut isn't satisfied. In fact, it's hungry. It is hungry to get out there. I kind of sound like some old person who was like, back in my days, I didn't even have the internet. I read book. You people wouldn't understand what it's like to have not have the internet. And I might come across like that. If I do come across like that, I don't blame you. Your parents probably didn't know how to get that message across to you. So I'm going to attempt in good faith, while also being critical, as someone who is knowledgeable in this space. This is a guide to internet freedom Instagram, and the death of authenticity. Now, the reality of things is that Instagram has billions of users. 2 billion, in fact. In fact, its parent company, Meta, formerly Facebook, has over 3 billion users across all of its apps. As of the recording of this video, of course. While its parent company, Facebook, now Meta, has suffered many revenue and stock losses the past few years due to the fact that it's doubling down on curating the ultimate VR experience, the metaverse, whatever that is, that doesn't mean Instagram is going to die out anytime soon. As of 2022, Instagram is the second most popular platform for both marketers and consumers looking for a good product, with 60% of marketers and 35% of consumers using this platform for customer service. While back in the day, in like 2014, the platform used to be female dominant, mostly due to its focus on photography, which tends to be something that females tend to enjoy more than men. But more recently, it's become a 50-50 split between men and women. So, specifically in the country I live in, America, there are actively 150 million users on the site, with 68% of these people being under the age of 35. Now, we're going to be charitable here. It is technically only used an average of 30 minutes a day. But don't be mistaken. If TikTok didn't exist, if it finally gets banned by the US, it's already been banned in Montana after all, I guarantee those numbers on Instagram, they're going to become not minutes, hours. And it's going to be multiple hours a day. I mean, the average American uses their phone 6 hours a day already. That is an absurd amount of time when you consider how many hours you're awake. And even if we consider all of those statistics, let's be real here. You're using Instagram for much longer than 30 minutes because you have nothing better to do. With all this being said, I understand that leaving Instagram is an incredibly tall order, especially when you consider that Instagram is one of the primary ways for people to connect to their friends and in some cases business. I totally get it. This video, however, is going to go mostly over the user side of things rather than the business side because I'm mostly tackling this from a mental health angle since that's what I know best, and when it comes to the business angle, I really do not have a lot to say on it. So, with that being said, let me tell you my story on Instagram. I was around age 13 at that time. It's around 2017. I'm just like some little teenage spurg, obsessed with Minecraft, and I recently got a smartphone. It wasn't very good. In fact, it was a pretty bad Android phone that couldn't really do much but the basic functions. It had YouTube, you could install their social media on there, but it was kind of bad. Well, except for the fact that it has a headphone jack. I love you and I miss you, Samsung A3. In fact, at this time, Android had somewhat of a reason to be used over Apple in that sense. A headphone jack. They weren't removing all their features like Apple was on their phone. But enough about the phones, enough about electronics. Whether you're not like it or not, we were always trying to create a nearly perfect post on Instagram so we could obtain as many likes as possible. You could try to ignore this reality. It's like, no, I don't do it for the likes. I do it because I like doing it. BS. I call BS. We're all doing it to get as many likes as possible. In fact, I caught myself doing this all the time. I would constantly check the amount of likes on my posts. Check even backlog. I would backlog to over a year just to check the likes on my posts. And, I'd see which one got the most amount of likes and who liked them. And, I wanted to see really if my friends would even acknowledge my existence. Spoiler, my friends didn't really do that. My so-called friends. At least, the ones that I don't talk to anymore, that is. Maybe they change. I don't know. I would do this for around 15 minutes a day with the addition of looking at my friends' stories, looking for something to me emotionally rage about, because a lot of people, they'll post, post little things like maybe some activism or whatever. Along with occasionally scrolling my feed, I would average around 1 to 2 hours a day total. And I would just feel like crap afterwards because my friends are quote unquote more popular than me, And these days, I don't even, I didn't like being popular. I didn't want to be popular. I was never popular. Ever. I honestly still don't think I'm a popular kid, at least in terms of mentality. So, fast forward to when I leave. It's June 2020. It's about when TikTok is becoming popular. And because I've had enough, and because of the amount of fake people in my life, I deleted the app. I posted a story saying, I'm leaving Instagram. You could contact my Discord at blah, 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 blah. And, DM me if you actually care. I'm going to Discord. And you can contact me there. Because at the time, the main app I was using anyways was Discord. I wasn't really being that active on Instagram because I knew I was feeling like crap. And I'm like, I might as well not use it. And I didn't look back. I really didn't. In fact, it's been over 3 years now. This day is actually my 3rd anniversary of leaving Instagram. Now, at this point, I didn't really discover self-improvement or, doing things to better your mental health or really any of that stuff. But I did notice my mental health skyrocketed. I wasn't the most active user on Instagram, or I wasn't really actively posting. I was more of the scrolling type of person. I didn't really post a lot of stuff. In fact, anyone that I know, ask them, and I'll ask them like, did they post often? They'll say no. Like I really was not active on Instagram. The algorithm, it's sort of algorithms usually encourage active posting. I considered it for a while, installing Instagram again, making a new account, and just trying to contact my friends back home. Because I'm like, you know what? Maybe my friends changed. Maybe I could contact them, just tell them about everything. And this was more recent, but I decided against it. I barely even talked to these people in the first place. And if I'm being honest, some of these people I didn't even really like. I didn't even agree with some of the lifestyle choices that they were making. Why would I want to talk to them or even, befriend them again? And, Of course, I wouldn't say it at the time. I didn't really have the balls to say it. I wouldn't say it to their face like, "Hey, I'm not really liking what you're doing. You need to stop." I didn't do that. And I'll say this about Instagram. If there was one regret that I have to this day, it was just not spending enough time communicating one-on-one with some of my friends, some of my closer friends. Because I met some good people. Some actually reached out to me and, wanted to say, "Yeah, Hunter, this stuff is really messing my mental health too, and I'm considering leaving too." And, they were genuinely considering it. Take this story as a warning about cutting off social media without a plan. Immediately, at least. You are going to stare reality directly in its face, and you're going to hate it. Even if you plan it all out, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be really ugly. Friedrich Nietzsche said, one of the most influential philosophers of all time, he said, "When you gaze in the abyss will eventually gaze back." And it did for me. I faced the harsh reality that my life meant nothing. I was lonely. I didn't really talk to anyone aside from a few of my friends that happened to be on Discord. But I still kind of felt lonely. I realized this pretty quickly. The harsh reality hit my face. But boom, boom baby, boom baby. All the sunlight except for this little beam coming out in my face. Hopefully you enjoy that. Better than having my face be all whitened out and all that stuff. But as I was saying, I realized this pretty quickly. I realized the harsh reality incredibly quickly. What do you think I did for over a year? Or over the next year? Nothing. I did absolutely nothing about it. In fact, I had a very defeatist mentality at the time. It was the worst time to quit social media. It was at the height of the recent pandemic. You know the one. And it ironically became the only way to communicate with anyone. It was only after this year of barely any interaction and just me sitting on my butt playing video games that I finally had enough. I decided to start a change in my diet, to start losing weight, and I got a job. Deleting Instagram was the start of my journey. And what I'm hoping from this video and from everything I tell you, that I'll be the same for you. With that story out of the way, I want to explain the origins of Instagram, as they're actually quite tragic when compared to some of the other Silicon Valley startups at the time. Because before we talk about the bad aspects of this platform, I don't think it's fair for me to not explain its background, its history, because it had a descent into madness. It became what it once wanted to fight against. You know, and you'll see what I mean. It seemed so cool back in the day. You'd wish that old version came back, wouldn't you? So, I'm more saying this also so that if someone gets an idea, you could look at, and someone tries to create something similar. I know like the app Be Real exists, but if someone tries to create something similar, don't make the same mistake as these founders. It was founded by a guy who rejected 3 job offers for big tech companies. 3 job offers. You're talking Facebook, Twitter, and then later on Google. He rejected all of those. And at the time, startups really weren't that good. They were in their infancy. It was founded by a guy who rejected 3 job offers for 3 big tech companies: Facebook, Twitter, and Google. He rejected all of these companies. He made some connections here and there. Of course, why, it's a good opportunity to at least get a little bit of connection there. Because the founders, they wanted something different. Especially the initial co-founder. He wanted something different. He had a different passion in mind. But as we'll see, we didn't get the good ending. This is the story of Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger. Now, Systrom would reconnect with an old university friend, Mike Krieger, with an idea, a brilliant idea. He would create a mobile check-in app called Bourbon. This is where you could send a text update along with a photo. Oh, Jesus, massive truck just passed by. And, at the time, Systrom had more of a passion. He was doing photography as a passion so he could pay the bills, but it was something that he was genuinely passionate about. But you don't really see that passion for photography in this app. But more on that later. They very quickly realized that this app is very similar to an app called Foursquare, which had a lot more features at the time to Instagram. In fact, nowadays, Foursquare is mostly known for its API, which I can explain in this video. Don't need to. Now, realizing all of this, realizing that the employers, every single employer that Systrom rejected initially became massive tech companies. I'm talking like just the biggest in the world. They're still around today. But Systrom and Krieger, they were embarrassed by this. All these other apps, all these other startups that were starting up, they became huge. They blew up. But this tiny little app, Bourbon, didn't really go anywhere. It had 100 users, maybe. It was honestly an embarrassment. That it's still, to this day, is pretty embarrassing that, you get surpassed by the people that you rejected. It humbles you a lot, and it got these guys thinking, okay, what did we do wrong with this app? But they found that most of the Bourbon users, they just wanted to use it for the photo sharing because it was convenient. Although Bourbon wasn't very successful, investors would still pour $500,000 into the app, as technologically it was still pretty impressive at the time, with even the CEO and one of the founders of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, at the time making some massive donations. and investments. Now, at this point for Systrom, photography was more of just a passionate thing, like a passion that he would use to pay the bills, because photography actually does make quite a bit of money. But with that passion became a greater idea. All of the knowledge and wisdom and the connections that Systrom and Krieger would make, it all culminated in an amazing idea. These guys would later rename, after 10 months only of bourbon, they would rename their app as a mix of the words instant camera and Telegram. Mind you, Telegram was an app at the time. This was a birth of Instagram. Now, the idea of Instagram was to solve a key problem in the tech space at the time. This problem was photo sharing. What was the problem with photo sharing, right? Well, the thing about photo sharing was that it was extremely slow for tech companies at the time. The upload process was slow. The photos looked really bad, especially on mobile phones. It was like something that you see out of a CCTV camera. So to fix this, they put the photos in a square resolution, 640 by 640 pixels, with a 1:1 aspect ratio. In layman's terms, the photos were small. They were like really, really small. This was a pretty genius idea, because rather than having to constantly update the technology, just hope for better upload times, all they needed to do was just update the resolution. So that way, not only would it look good on any phone, any photos would look good on any phone, but as technology got better, they didn't have to lift a finger. They just had to increase the max resolution and they would eventually do so. And another genius idea, and is what Instagram is known for, is their editing system, more specifically their filters, just so you could give it that, just so while the photo's uploading, you could sort of give it that touch, you could give it that little touch, and it would look like a perfect photo, a beautiful romantic photo on the beach, or a beautiful flower. You take a photo of your food or something. It was genius. On October 6, 2010, Instagram would release on all iOS devices. It was the official launch of Instagram. Guess what happened? Of course, it was an instant hit. 1 million users in just 2 months. It would raise $7 million in funding from a variety of investors, including previously mentioned Jack Dorsey and Adam D'Angelo, who was and still is to this day the CEO of Quora. Now, only half a year later, now it's valued at $20 million. And this is a sort of reason why when you are going to start a business, you should definitely make sure that you have some connections. Because when you have key connections to other people, they might be able to help you out. Even if you're not working for them necessarily, even if you don't want to work for them or whatever, you can make some great connections from just working with certain people. You never know who you'll meet. You'll never know if you might get some insider access. Making connections overall is just a really good way to help skyrocket your business, especially if you have a good idea. Now, it sort of seems unbelievable today, but Instagram, they would never, and I mean never, use an algorithm to promote posts. In fact, their 12 employees at the time, they would manually select what photos and posts got promoted. It seems almost unthinkable at the time because algorithms at this point were everywhere, you know. Even if they were somewhat primitive and they were more just sort of towards simpler videos, you know, especially like YouTube, you know, it's more just simple videos of a dude screaming like a maniac. It worked. Now I had 5 million users during the next year, June of 2011. 10 million just 2 months later. And they even got endorsed by celebrities like Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande, who to this day are still some of the most followed accounts. And that's quite a lot to say, that you have over 10 years of loyalty from these celebrities. It's actually insane. Now, we fast forward to 2012. Instagram is doing extremely well at this point. It's getting more and more Silicon Valley investors, and now it's valued at over $500 million. But this was a threat to big tech, and they knew that. You know, somebody would have to buy it at this point, right? I mean, it's such a small development team, and they can only do so much with it. And at this point, they really, you know, it's somewhat primitive tech, but it was popular. It was getting big. Maybe one of their connections would buy it. Jack Dorsey, right? He had personal connections with Systrom. He had invested plenty of money into Instagram after all. Plenty of his own dollars. You know, Twitter was blowing up and he invested some of that money into Instagram. But you know it, I know it. This didn't happen. It's April of 2012. They now released Instagram for Android. And now Instagram bought. Now it's April 2012. They now released Instagram for the Android operating system. And it just got bought out by one of its biggest competitors, Facebook. And this deal was over $1 billion. But not only was it bought out for $1 billion, but Systrom and Krieger would still stay as the CEO and CTO respectively. It would be independent of Facebook while also receiving massive amounts of funding from their platform respectively. And the co-founders received a massive cut in the deal, with Systrom receiving over $400 million. They didn't have to work another day in their life. But as you know, they kept going. They wanted to make Instagram big. And after this, many features from Facebook would be added, including photo tagging and video sharing. And some of this actually came from the aforementioned Foursquare API. Now, with that being said, the deal sounded too good to be true, right? Well, it was. And you'll definitely see later that this was the case. Because Zuckerberg knew Instagram was similar to Facebook. Very similar to Facebook. You know, as I mentioned, as a competitor, Zuckerberg didn't want his little baby Facebook, to be swept by Instagram. And you'll see that things started to go south with this deal. And it started with the new terms of service changes. It was very controversial at the time. Now, I'll mention a few of the controversies that happened later on this video, but you know, these are things such as Facebook sponsored ad model or some of the drug related controversies. Yeah, that's a thing. But I'll mention those in the later section. It's 2016 and the platform has over 1 billion users. At this point, Instagram only had selected ads from specific brands, Nike, McDonald's, Burger King, blah, 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 right? They only hand selected certain brand ads because, well, it was user friendly and it wasn't invasive. But Facebook had a much more profitable system. In fact, that was why they switched to their model of ads. It's just Facebook's model of ads is so much more profitable than just selecting ads manually or, selecting from certain advertisers. And they would also at this point remove media integration from other platforms besides their little baby Facebook. And with all of Zuckerberg's knowledge that Instagram was starting to become more popular than Facebook itself, he had made the executive decision, to limit the number of new employees that Instagram could hire. Now, and as you can imagine, this stunted Instagram's growth a bit, and it put a ton of pressure on the team behind Instagram. Now, you might be sort of understanding, well, Hunter, you gotta limit the number of employees, otherwise, it's gonna be big and bloated. And, I get that. Massive companies actually do need to lay off their staff or slow down the hiring of new employees because many of them just are massively bloated and just have way too much employees. And when it comes to economics, you want to trim out the bloat, because if you just keep hiring new employees, you're going to get a lot of diminishing returns on everything, on the products you make. In fact, you could see this today. Many employees at Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, blah blah blah, they all had massive layoffs for this very reason. But Instagram was different at the time. It was still seeing massive growth. 500 million users at the time. It only added more stress to the employees rather than trying to trim the fat of things and make things a little better. And they only just got more demands from Facebook. On September 24th, 2018, the original founders finally had enough. They were sick of all the crap that Zuckerberg was giving them. And so, when they left, they immediately got replaced by the new CEO and current CEO, Adam Mosseri. Now, why did I say that? It wasn't really publicly stated why they left, and I'm not going to link it, but you could look and you will see that, well, hey, we're leaving, we're good, time to step down from the company, the standard corporate message. But according to leaked documents from the New York Times, Zuckerberg was actively trying to push them out. He was making their lives miserable. He was aggravating them, and if you ask me, it makes a lot of sense. And you could sort of see that now when you open the app. It's now Instagram from Facebook. Or now Meta, I guess. As of the recording of this video, they've mostly been silent ever since they left Instagram. they did launch a site called RT Live, which was just supposed to track the recent pandemic that happened during 2020. And I know they've had a few interviews with like, oh, why did we leave Instagram? And it's sort of the, I'll just say right now, it's mostly just the standard like corporate spiel. The rest is history. Now, it should be said that I did ignore some key controversies that happened during this time that are extremely relevant. But don't worry, we'll get back to those later in this video. Now, during my research for this video, I knew going in that Instagram, was the number one main problem when it came to mental health. It was a main social media that was causing mental health issues. And like any of you guys, if you've ever done research, don't lie to yourselves. You probably went to Wikipedia first. And guess what one of the first sections of the Wikipedia page is after the history of Instagram? Because of course you gotta put the history in every social media thing. Scientific studies. Now, this sounds a little shocking. Oh, scientific studies. Well, you can't find that on any other social media. Even TikTok, and everyone knows that TikTok is affecting their attention spans in some way. And yeah, you'll find a controversy for, each of these platforms if you look on the pages. And if you do even a little bit of research, you'll definitely find them. They're definitely everywhere. It's kind of something that you can't really avoid when you're such a big platform. But mental health? Are you serious? And there's an entire section on Wikipedia about this. That right there tells you more than enough than you need to know on Instagram. And now you know it's going to get pretty depraved. So, as you all know, Instagram is the worst rated app for teenager mental health. But why is this? How is a platform just used for photo and video sharing? How did it become the worst rated social media for mental health consistently? Even with TikTok, even with Snapchat, even with Twitter. What happened? And like with any social media site, Instagram has a sequential feed that will show you posts by people that you followed in the past 24 hours. It's pretty simple, and I feel I don't need to explain it that much. If you follow Ronaldo, you're going to see posts from your feed from Ronaldo. You follow a few of your friends, you're going to see posts of your friends. Whoever you follow, you are going to see a curated feed that is just from those people that you followed. Up to 24 hours. Now, imagine what that would be like if you're only following people that are more successful and or better looking than you. Maybe you're just following your friends. Maybe you're following the popular kids at school. Now, it sounds good to follow successful people on Instagram, right? You're the average of your 5 friends. And that's a true statement. If you only follow successful billionaires or celebrities, you'll almost certainly catch up and start to emulate their behaviors, right? Well, not exactly. Sorta, but not exactly. And in this case, it's a really bad idea. Especially since these people do not know you. They most likely, when it comes to their lives, they will most likely never meet you. It's just a parasocial relationship. That is different from, say, following someone else on YouTube and listening to what their advice. You're listening like, I don't know, David Goggins or something, or you're listening to the Top G, and you're getting some advice, but it doesn't really work here. And even then, don't get yourself wrapped in a parasocial relationship. But what is a parasocial relationship? I'll give you a simplified definition. It is a one-sided relationship. Keyword one-sided. A one-sided relationship from the audience member to the media persona. This could be some kind of fictional TV character. It could be some kind of celebrity. And whatever it is, it's usually the image of that person or character that they are obsessing over. And the thing about parasocial relationships is it usually leads to issues such as insecurity and eventually obsessive behavior, such as harassment and stalking. And so, safe to say, it's an extremely dangerous relationship that people could have with anyone. Not just people, not just, big celebrities, but other people, other normal people. It's why it's extremely important for content creators, including myself now, to remind their audience that none of us know you on a personal level. I do not know you, yes, you, the viewer, on a personal level. At least most of you guys. If you're an IRL friend and you're watching this video, well, no, thank you. I really appreciate it. But I most likely do not know you on a personal level if you're watching this video. Now, why am I mostly just batting out on Instagram? Twitch has this problem. There are so many other social media sites that have this problem, right? Well, we don't see this as much on YouTube because many content creators aren't posting their personal lives on there. It's not exactly posting content for the sake of their personality. Most of these content creators not revolved around their life. Nobody's getting invested in a science channel for the host's life. I mean, some people might do that. They might go to their Twitter or something and go obsess over it, but nobody's really gonna do that. Do you listen to like Andrew Huberman and you're like, oh my god, man, his life, I'm so obsessed with it. Like, nobody's saying that. They just listen to him because he gives good advice on life. He gives good health advice. I guess if you're a family vlog channel and you're literally just filming your kids' entire lives, yeah, sure, some creepier adults might have some parasocial relationship with the kid. That might happen. Now, it's not just you that might be harboring feelings of envy, of jealousy, but in fact, 40% of users in the UK and US felt unattractive, and this was surveyed during 2019. Now, I'm aware, yes, some of these studies admittedly have an extremely small sample size. And it only barely gets above the thousands. It doesn't even reach 2,000 at times. But it's safe to say it might actually be more. And some of these people may not realize their jealousy. It's probably more with the rise of other platforms such as TikTok, promoting many dangerous behaviors. I'm not going to touch on those for this video, but I'll make a video about it in the future. But there is many dangerous behaviors that have been promoted on TikTok, and I'll talk about those a little bit here. But I think the scariest part is people aren't on Instagram to feel good. They just want emotional engagement. Emotional engagement that they can't get elsewhere. They can't get it in real life. You know? You can't go outside and get that kind of emotional engagement that, you need to release that somewhere, right? You need to release some pent-up anger. You need to release some negative emotions, right? But it's also because many of these people, even if you don't recognize it, they're subconsciously comparing themselves to others. Doesn't matter if it's positive, negative, hilarious, or horrifying. It's keeping these users on. And they know they're addicted, and, they can't do anything about it. It's because they want to feel as if they were, they secretly hope that one of these days I'll feel as if I'm part of a real community. And I get it. Nowadays, it's something that is extremely lacking in the real world for a lot of people in developed countries today. In fact, developed countries they actually tend to be a lot less happy than the poorer countries. If that makes sense. Now, I'm obviously not saying that it's better to live in a poor country than a developed country, but, you might, at least you're not getting shot in the streets. But my point is that developed countries tend to be a lot less happy. Richer countries like the US, UK, a lot less happy. Because of that, and because of these feelings of jealousy that these very same users that are jealous and are feeling terrible about themselves, they decide, I'm going to start posting a photo of myself. Maybe I'll feel better doing so. They do a little bit, maybe they'll do a little bit of editing on themselves to look better. Hey, they won't notice they won't notice that I slightly warped the photo to make my hips look wider. Now, they post. It skyrockets in likes. They're receiving so much more likes now than on any of their other posts. Comments like, "Oh my god, you're such a queen, yes, 10 out of 10. Or, "Oh my god, so sexy, baby. Oh my god, post more." And these comments are in the hundreds, maybe thousands by now, if they're really popular. They're on the trending page on Instagram. And you keep posting, and you keep posting, and you keep posting, you keep posting, and you keep posting, and you get more popular. Now, at this point, the image of themselves, they've created this image of themselves, and it has killed their authenticity. It killed their authentic self. They are not who they were before. Before they were just posting pictures of, their favorite book, or they posted, "Oh, I am, some really nice, I did some really nice cooking. Oh, this is a really good book. I really like this book." And this has affected hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people. It's such a mainstream issue that these people that become shells of themselves is coined the term Instagram reality. Now, we're gonna investigate this phenomenon together that is Instagram reality. Now, what is Instagram reality? It is a false reality that is created by influencers, mainly women. That's if you look around, do some research, you're gonna see it's mostly women. making insane cosmetic choices or doing Photoshop that to make themselves look better. And these cosmetic choices, they don't bode very well. Sorry, the camera's like, it's like I'm looking that way and I'm looking this way. In fact, I'll give you a step in the right direction. You could just look at r/Instagram reality. You could type it up on, search it up on the computer. It's a popular subreddit and it has over 1 million subscribers. Even with all these Reddit blackouts, I'm pretty sure by the time I upload this video, they probably have been canceled or they stopped for the subreddit. Do you look good enough? Do you not have the perfect body, the perfect 10 out of 10 aesthetic body? Don't worry. All you need is Photoshop. Maybe you don't need Photoshop. Maybe you want some PEDs. Maybe you need some steroids. Maybe you need that juice. That juice. That juice. I'm sure it's not going to lead to any body dysmorphia, right? It's not a symptom of a large problem, right? Well, you know it. I know it. Most of these photos that you're looking at is not only an unrealistic body standard, but some of these are flat out unattainable. In fact, some of these photos are unnatural. Like, they're posting they get their hands like this, and their hands are like weirdly bend. I'm sure some people have that flexibility, but I doubt it's a person that's posting that photo. I really doubt it. I really doubt they could do weird, make their hand circle like, right? But the thing about body dysmorphia is that even if you spend thousands of dollars upon thousands of dollars on cosmetics or PEDs or drugs or Photoshop and an editing team, it will never be enough. It will literally never be enough for you. Actually, if anything, you're just making your health worse with all the side effects from the chemicals that you're putting in your body or the plastic that you're putting in your face to look different. And some of these changes could be permanent. Oh, another thing. Because of all the thousands of dollars you're spending, you're now broke. And, maybe you didn't spend it on cosmetics or PEDs or whatever. Maybe you were delusional enough to, or not delusional. I wouldn't say delusional. That's mean, but you were manipulated and influenced by these influencers, because that's what these people actually are at this point. They influence you to do something. You wasted money on some kind of garbage supplement, like a garbage protein powder that is making you bedridden, that's making you take dumps on the toilet for an hour. But thing is that Facebook knows this. It's not a secret. Users know too. There's leaked reports out there that Facebook does know this. The Wall Street Journal talked in lengths about this. But they're too addicted to leave. Even if they wanted to leave, they can't. In fact, they're in the final stage of addiction. They're not even denying it anymore. They can't leave. They just sort of accept it. I'm addicted. I'm gonna keep just using the platform. They're not staying. You're not staying on Instagram or other social media just for dopamine. That's actually, believe it or not, that's a scary thing, is that people aren't doing that anymore. They want that emotional engagement that I was talking about. They don't want their stupid happy pills from Glagoland. They want their 30 minutes of hate, or 2 minutes of hate, 30 minutes of hate, however long it is. It's just like George Orwell's book, 1984. Thank God for the constant internal Facebook leaks for this information, because as a company, they do not know how to keep themselves secure, and it seems that their cybersecurity is awful if they're getting leaked as many times as they have. Because otherwise, I would look like a conspiracy theorist. Maybe I do now with all the stuff I'm saying. But don't worry, this is just beginning. Instagram reality can also define those of just people that are showing an overly idealistic lifestyle. You know, maybe they're not just showing a perfect body, or they're showing off how, rich they are, but they're like, yeah, it might just be for a normal person. Yeah, look at this awesome concert. Yeah, it was lame and I left halfway through, but it was awesome. I had such a blast with my girl. It could be something like this, or a trip to Italy, cruising around on a large boat. Yo, this is beautiful. Oh my god! And you're posting a bunch of pictures of yourself on the boat, and every single person in the frame is doing the exact same thing. They're holding these long selfie sticks. They're taking pictures of themselves, trying to look a zest, look a zesty. And of course, when it comes to stuff, I can't, in good faith, not mention Instagram's softcore porn problem, as Instagram is marketed towards those of a younger demographic, particularly the ages of 13 to 17. But it's not just, Instagram reality isn't just affecting those who are making decisions to change their body or to try to do something to look perfect. It's also turning people to go to hardcore content. Now, I do want to make this clear. This is a problem that every single platform has, at least the ones that use an algorithm to an extent, right? The more you look at suggestive content, the more the algorithm is going to give you that suggestive content. And that is something important to keep that in mind. That is not necessarily company's fault. That is partially a flaw on the algorithm, because that's not really something you could do. It's not something you could change. Because the thing on Instagram is, because of its massive user base, a lot of models will use that to their advantage to market themselves, to post some teasing pictures, some suggestive pictures of themselves. Oops! I got my booty out. I'm not gonna show that picture. I'm not gonna show that in front of you, but oops! Wow, look how sexy I look. Look, my God, it's such a nice day. Such a nice day on the beach. Summer's so fun, guys. Don't look at that thing. What are you looking at? What are you looking at, idiot? When you take a look at some of these photos, you might start to feel a little ashamed. Let's be real. But your lizard brain, your dumb cranium, this little, probably in the back, I think it's like the amygdala, essentially, the lizard brain is really getting turned on. It's getting fired up. And so you decide to look at that account. You give it a follow. You'll give it a follow. You're now howling like a wolf. And so you start to see if this person has a link. Oh, look. She has an OnlyFans. Now, sure, I'll pay the $5 a month. Or, maybe you're brokey and you look at a leak of this account. whoa, you got the jackpot. And, you know, you did something. You did the thing. Now, it feels good, right? Now, you're kind of like, yeah, I want more. I want something that fires me up a little bit. You go to adult sites. It's now become routine. Every day. You're in your bed. You're waking up, and the first thing you do is you're all going on Instagram, and you're just scrolling, and you're seeing some nice ladies. You go on some of the sites. You do it. And you were in bed for 3 hours. It's 10 a.m. Your family's been up this entire time. Because that was me. That was me. Congratulations. You're addicted to pornography. Good job. Now, the thing that I really want to say is that women are also affected by this issue. And it has been a massive societal issue that has been around ever since the internet started. You know, before you were getting magazines and you were finding them from you caught your father with some magazines or something, right? It's, you know, but at least it wasn't, you know, inaccessible, right? It was very hard to access because not every father had access to that. Sure, you might have seen a hot babe on the street or something like that, you know, that you could have done that, but like realistically, that's really hard to do. You know, it's kind of rare, right? You're not really seeing that, and even if someone looks nice and pretty, you're not thinking. I mean, subconsciously you are, but you're not thinking directly. Yeah, I want to, you know, and you know. It's not because I have some kind of, and to be clear, it's not because I have some secret plot to be a misogynist towards women, to oppress women, and to, you know, I want to keep them from shattering the glass ceiling, whatever. But if anything, leaving this kind of addiction will make you respect women for who they are, rather than just seeing them as an object. Fact, but if you think I'm some kind of misogynist or whatever, you know, I don't know what I could do because you're still addicted. But what can you do about this? You know, I'm sure that some people are asking about that because, you know, I'll go over this in a separate video, but I do want to give a quick tip on those who are finding themselves addicted, and that is. The biggest tip I could give is to find accountability. You cannot do this alone. Trust me, I've personally tried. I've tried so many times myself, and I have failed all attempts. I've tried this for over 2 years, and I failed every single time. I felt guilty about it, but I did nothing about it. I was not even motivated to do anything. I just subconsciously started to cope. You need a friend or someone to hold you accountable. And that might be a little hard, you know, a friend that's addicted, finding a friend that's not addicted is extremely hard these days, you know. Unless you're coming from a religious background, maybe you'll find a friend or family member, you know. A friend or family member, you know. Heck, you know, maybe your grandfather or something, you know. I would also make it a point to avoid the places that you're doing it the most. Keep yourself busy, you know. For me, you know, those places I would avoid would be my bed and the bathroom. Now, you gotta use a bathroom, but just what you could do is try to avoid going in those places with your phone. So if you're going to bed, you're going on your bed to sleep. Right? Now, if you're really desperate, you could just sleep on the couch. You know, if you're living with someone, you know, if they allow that, right? You know, but find a place that maybe isn't the place that you're doing it. Sleep there if you have to. Maybe ask your parents, hey, can I sleep on the couch for just 2 weeks? I really need to get rid of this addiction. I'm sure they'll understand. I'm sure if they're good parents, they'll understand. But do what you can to try to avoid those places that trigger you as much as possible. Because you're addicted. Let's be real here. You need to avoid as much as possible. Now, there is an extra benefit that you get from this. You'll not rely on your phone so much. And you're not going to need it to get emotionally charged. Not only are you using phone less, but you're going to have a lot of health benefits in the long run, that as long as you fight the withdrawal symptoms, as have I. And it'll even make you a little less socially awkward, so you can actually make some friends, if you're starting to feel lonely. I get it. It's happened for me. And when I started fighting this addiction, I made more friends instantly. It was insane. I became less socially awkward. Still was addicted, but I had a little bit of an easier time. And mind you, I'm like one of the most socially awkward people. And I say this because nobody ends up stumbling across this material by choice, right? They usually get addicted by looking at something. They let their curiosity get the better of them. And then the rest is, the rest. Nobody chose that situation. Nobody chose to do that. Nobody chose to do it. Yeah, I want to do this because I want to do it. Most people don't think that. It's mostly for financial or social clout. That's what this is at the end of the day. For clout. For financial gains. They wouldn't do it otherwise. I'll explain more in a future video why this addiction is incredibly dangerous and is actively destroying your mind. And I'll give you some tips to dealing with it, but for now, this is all I'm going to say. I'll leave a video in the description if you want to learn more. It was a video that completely changed my view on this issue, and it's an hour long. It's a talk. The guy's really got funny, and it's really engaging, honestly, but I recommend it. Please do watch that video. Maybe your journey off of Instagram will help you combat this addiction. All right? So keep fighting. We're all going to make it. We're all going to make it, bros. Yeah, it's a longer sleeve shirt. I'm not showing that much muscle. But anyways, you and I both know that the bot and ad problems on Instagram are egregious. They're seriously awful. But you know that, and I know that. I'm not going to go that in depth into the ads because I'm sure other people have explained it better than I have. But I'll give you some, I'll give you a little bit of my personal experience with that. During my time on Instagram, I watched as ads became more and more cancerous. They spew out some garbage mobile games, some really garbage clothing. I mean, this drip I didn't get from this drip I didn't get from an ad. I didn't get from some stupid Instagram ad. I didn't get some like weird thing from like some Chinese site or something like that. I bought this myself. I thought it looked good on me, right? Or it's a garbage business course. Hey guys, here's this I have a great author. It's my favorite author. It's called Napoleon Hill. He made this book called Think Grow Rich, and I was really inspired, and that's why I'm making this course. That kind of stupid crap ad. Those stupid crap ads like that you see on YouTube. It's a problem there too. He's going. But at least it's nothing will beat out Twitch ads in terms of egregiousness though. But it's a whole bunch of and these courses, they're selling some useless product at the end of the day. They're selling useless products, or it's just the business secret. Hey, here's my secrets. It's called wasting your time and money. That's what the secret is for majority of these courses. Good courses, they don't need to be pushed in your face. Good courses they'll be determined by their merits. I'm not saying every course is bad, but a lot of them are, and the good ones are certainly not going to be advertised on Instagram. Especially if they use that kind of language. I know what that language is. You can't fool me. But these ads are very manipulative. They're everywhere. You're eventually gonna buy something. You're eventually gonna play that mobile game. Waste 2 hours of your life just playing that really crappy mobile game. It's made in a week. And these ads are honestly, even if you just scrolling past the ads is just a huge waste of time. You're wasting so much time. If you start to rack up the amount, like, say I'm scrolling Instagram an hour a day, and I see plenty of ads. I see a minute of ads. And I scroll every day for an hour. I see a minute of ads. Well, one, you waste an hour a day, which racks up to a lot of time. But just the ads alone, you're wasting, let's say there's 365 days in your 1 minute of you looking at ads every day. You wasted 6 hours. 6 hours that you could have done something more productive. 6 hours that you could have journaled, like I've started recently. 6 hours that you could have put meditating for a minute a day, certainly. 6 hours doing anything good, right? 6 hours doing literally anything else, right? Everyone hates ads. Literally everyone hates ads. Like, they're necessary for the, ecosystem. No, everyone hates ads. Let's be real here, right? And by the way, Instagram doesn't even break even with this ad model right now. In fact, you know what they do with these ads? They use that data, your ads, they use personalized ads, and they sell that to third-party companies. And many of these third-party companies, they might get hacked, they might get breached, and all of a sudden, passwords on the internet. Oh, there you go change. But speaking of branches, I can give you a step right now. Go right now. I'll link the site in the description. Go enter your email in that site and check if you got breached. I'm not sponsored by these people. I'm not really, I'm not affiliated. I don't really care. I'm not going to tell you to buy the course. I mean, the VPN or whatever it is. But just check if you got breached. And I actually recently did this. I checked my email and found out it was breached quite a while ago, quite a few years ago. I didn't even know it. And this website in question send you an email, give you a report on what got breached, what sites got breached, what do you have to change passwords for, right? And you don't need to buy anything from these people. Just make sure to change those passwords for the respective sites. Make them unique, make them secure, and if you needed some kind of password manager, or you needed, you're not going to memorize them like I have, write them down. Get yourself a pen or pencil or whatever it is, and just write that down, because some password managers like LastPass, I'm sure there's a secure one out there that I just can't think of, but if you look at like LastPass, use LastPass or whatever, that got breached and and is at risk for breach, and that's because of bad security practices. And it's a pretty simple task though, and it only requires a few minutes of your time. It doesn't really require that much. It's completely free. It's something that pretty much everyone should do, and it should be common practice to do so. But anyways, it's not just the ads, but the bots are pretty bad on Instagram too. And it's not just Instagram either. It's a problem with every other site, right? bots are everywhere. Bots will post comments. They'll post some stupid spam link, and you got, oops, sorry, account got hacked. It's a problem that hasn't really gone away for any of these social media sites, and is still to this day a problem. And there's not really, you could fight the problem, and people are taking more and more practices to fight this issue. But on Instagram, we'll talk about it, because the bots are really bad on there. People, and it's not like people are just unwilling, they don't want these bots. Some of these people do. Some of these people literally will buy a bunch of these bots to boost their follower count on Instagram. And some of these are celebrities doing it. Ariana Grande, she has over 65 million estimated fake followers. A lot of these people have millions, tens of millions of fake followers. Imagine that. And I'm sure there's a site where you could check the followers, although you get it for whatever reason it paywalls you, but and it's not just that, but it's also DM spam bots, like direct message bots that spam you. And when it comes to that, the only platform I think that even has this problem worse is Discord, because it's known for that. It's known for these DM spam bots or whatever. And the thing is that there's a very easy solution that you could do, and that's just turn off. You can only be messaged by friends. Everything else becomes a message request. And so it kind of just makes everything very streamlined. In fact, I haven't even gotten that many messages from bots in a long time because of this. Safe to say that if you're getting messages about your password being supposedly hacked, or you're getting some free money in a giveaway, or any kind of sense of urgency, you get offered to do naughty, meet this person, block the account, it's probably a phishing scam. I'm sure most of you know that. It's pretty common practice, but I should let that be mentioned. And the thing about celebrities buying these botted followers, it's not just celebrities that are doing it to boost their ego. Although, why would they need to do that with all the power, money and power in the world? They go flying, they go acting, they do all of this stuff, and my answer is that they need some sense of validation. In reality, a lot of these people have very empty lives, and that you need to know that they have empty lives. Okay. But the thing is that it's not just celebrities that are doing this. It's kids. It's like these people that, they don't want to be an astronaut or a firefighter. They want to be an influencer, and, they want to boost their ego. They want to do it. And so they'll pay money and they'll buy fake followers. They bought them. And, usually these days, it's pretty easy to tell if, you get a lot of followers, but you're not getting nearly enough engagement. That's you most likely have inflated followers. Could be inactive accounts, might have been a case for me, but most likely you got some fake followers. Keep that in mind. I was literally broke. I have almost no reason to post on Instagram, and I had like less than 100 followers, but I was still being followed by bots. So, and I don't know if this is still a problem today. I know bots are a huge problem right now, like in all social medias, YouTube, Twitter, whatever. But on Instagram, it's still a thing. It's still happening. But it makes you question how many of the 2 billion users that use Instagram, how much of that is fake? How much of that is like not even real people? For Twitter, it's something at like a third of the entire user base of Twitter, or like some massive chunk of the Twitter user base is all just bots. And the main people that post on there, make up a very small percentage of the actual user base, right? It makes you sort of question, when you learn this, it sort of makes you question if all this supposedly positive validation that these big accounts get, if it's just fake, if these popular people are just doing it to like validate their own lives, their own hollow existences, we get it. You need something to fill the void. So it's instinct to do that. But with the popularity of TikTok and short form content, Facebook had to compete, and they had to do it in their own way. So they started shifting their content, their platform more towards video, because they wanted to stay the most popular social media. They wanted Instagram to be the most popular social media for teens. And you can imagine how that has changed the landscape of Instagram. I'll explain more of this kind of stuff in my TikTok video, because I don't feel that Instagram Reels will do it enough justice. And there's plenty of other things to explain, but the premise is that Instagram Reels are similar to your feed, but in the form of short video content from other creators. Now, with that being said, despite me not talking, I'm not going to talk about much, but it isn't safe from my crosshairs. And there's still quite a bit to be said about Reels. At least with your feed, when you're scrolling on your Instagram feed, it eventually ends. Unless you want to go find some new person to follow, or you want to find some trending stuff, or you want to search for something. Yeah, I guess go ahead. You could do that, but most people aren't on Instagram for that, right? The feed ends. It ends after 24 hours, right? So, as a competitor to TikTok, it would be wise to implement many similar features to Reels, such as editing video to make some seamless transitions, borrowing audio, having the sources and all that stuff, and remixing, all the pretty standard stuff on TikTok, right? People can come to find some kind of quick, informative video. Hey guys, here's this news story, or hey, here's how I did this. Here's how I cooked this little recipe, this little dessert, a little cute dessert. Oh, here's a cool video. Here's a video of a Turkish man stealing playing around with someone's ice cream. Tip: grab it as hard as you can. That's how you prevent them. Just, But there's informative information, some memes, and really just finding other small communities for kind of niche things, right? And I wouldn't be lying if I wasn't guilty of this kind of behavior, looking for all those stupid memes, Maybe not Instagram Reels. I wasn't using Instagram Reels off the platform like I mentioned, but on Discord or at Reddit or whatever, I'm looking for memes. And, I'm definitely guilty of that stuff. I've definitely been guilty of that stuff in the past, even recently, right? I still have the brain of a shit poster, in fact. Yeah, I would argue. You probably have seen this as I've made some quips or whatever. And, given that my humor is kind of stupid and random, I don't know if that'll change, if I'm being honest. But I also acknowledge memes die quickly, and it really starts to bore me out. So I was like, I have no real reason to keep going, right? But just kind of give a summary of Instagram Reels. It's more of just the, this spyware right here, this spyware and brain rot is gross. But this spyware and brain rot, that's the good stuff. I like this spyware and brain rot. It's so good. It makes my mind. It makes my mind rot, right? Now, I'll have a lot more to say, a lot more about this short form content revolution that happened, what it does to the brain, and all the things. But I'll save this now for my TikTok video because it'll be much more relevant there. But, and I'll make a final comment that if TikTok didn't exist or TikTok gets banned in America, which it's looking like it might happen, well, everyone's going to probably go, all right, back to Instagram, back to the Reels. Yeah, it isn't good as TikTok, but it's something. It's better. I doubt anyone's using YouTube Shorts unless they're on their phone watching YouTube. But, anyways, now we get into a big challenge when trying to leave Instagram, and that is networking, because many of the top influencers use a network with other creators, right? It's the second best place to go and market things, right? And the first is Facebook Marketplace. A lot of business YouTubers will make tutorials and stuff on how to go on Facebook Marketplace, right? And even those who advocate against using the site will use it to, or they've either considered using it or are actively using it to go network with other people. I listen. I sort of get it. It's the hub for rich people in a lot of sense, for them to DM each other, look at photos, like, hey, let's talk. Let's talk about this business deal. It makes a lot of sense. It's one of the best places for business, especially if you're trying to market things towards a younger demographic. It's hard to blame them, right? For me personally, I wasn't networking with a bunch of rich people, but I lost dozens of contact with people that were mostly active on Instagram, and so I ultimately lost contact with most of my friends. Like I mentioned in a story that I wish I did a better job communicating that message I wanted to leave, but overall I felt so much better knowing that I would be able to find other means of communication. I personally thought I was okay. I'm okay with it because I have good friends. I know how to meet people and stuff, but I get it. Instagram and Facebook have a monopoly on free networking. It's really hard to find alternatives for these and for businesses and organizations to start networking, right? There's so many celebrities and powerful figures that use a platform. Businesses probably have it so they can start, they can market towards young people that, college, like a college, for example, might, they'll post photos on Instagram saying, ooh, we had such a good time, hey, hashtag. They do it to market towards young people, right? Or whoever the demographic. And the thing about Instagram is the engagement is, well, despite the bot accounts and all that stuff, it's a lot more authentic than something Twitter, like Twitter, where you don't even know if that meme someone sent you is a bot. If it's either memes, it's depravity, or it's a bot trying to promote their product. Hey, look at this crypto, and it's not as bloated as TikTok with hundreds of thousands of comments. You have 1 million followers, but you're really a micro celebrity, because at the end of the day, it's you could just be avoided. Most people are on their For You tab, right? My point about all this is the brutal reality of life is that sometimes you got to make sacrifices in the short term for the long term, right? When there are no alternatives to go to. As far as Instagram alternatives go, there's Be Real, I guess. You could use that if you want, but there's not really that much alternatives out there, Time will tell when there, will be a bigger grassroots movement for some, alternative software, and we're starting to see that in streaming services. Maybe people will move elsewhere. They'll find new ways to network, and as things will start to change. Maybe we'll start to see some change. Maybe we'll start to see innovation, But with all that being said, I think we got to get into the most probably sensitive and controversial segment in the video because of how crazy these discussions related to these topics have been in the past year. I and probably other people, maybe you have been suspicious of it. You've been some suspicious of something like this for a while, and you know, and when whenever it was, right? Some people tend to go a little bit overboard on discussion, but nonetheless, this is a discussion that needs to be had. This is a conversation we need to have. You know, this isn't some obscure forum or some file transfer service on the dark web. It's an entire algorithm, an entire site with billions of people that is supposed to cater and push more of that content to those that consume it, right? And the thing is, that applies to child, you know what. And the Wall Street Journal, and one of the reasons I made this video was because they reported that there was a vast network of these people, these evil people, these actual monsters that need to be in jail, locked up, posting freely on Instagram under these tags: pedo, whore, and preteen sex. Some of these accounts would literally disguise themselves as children and use over-the-top handles like, I'm not even going to say it, right? I'm not going to say them. You could look at the sources in my description, the Wall Street Journal report. It's all there. I'm not lying to you, and you can look. Meta says that it has taken down 27 of these networks in the past 2 years. Being 2021, right? The article says, quote, Meta accounted for 85% of all child pornography reports filed to the center, including some 5 million on Instagram. And it follows saying that Meta's automated screening for child exploitation, it can't detect new efforts, images, or advertising efforts for sale of this video. And it goes further into how some of these former workers and these people that work at Stanford, these security people, they're like, listen, they need to take further action. They need to actually look into all these posts or whatever, and to see, is there any of this stuff on there? Because it's a massive problem, and and the fact that they only just use the automated screen. That's it. They don't really they do a little bit. Credit where credit's due, but there's so many basic things that Instagram could have done to deal with this issue. You could reduce this by 90%. It'll always be a problem with platforms, right? But the fact that it could be reduced to just moderate better, maybe some more moderation on this kind of content, it's ridiculous. All they need to do is just further check post for any of this abuse. Don't just go to automatic screening. Just check for anything. Hire more employees if you have to. I really have nothing more to say on this story. I really do not. Frankly, this story should just be an instant red flag for all these parents. A black flag. God save you if you're a victim of this sort of stuff. I'm really sorry. Twitter, they managed this kind of content pretty good. It was a huge problem on their site just a few years ago, and under Musk's leadership, say what you will about him, even if it's less than perfect, definitely not good by any means. He dealt with this content pretty well. He's done a lot to get this content out of the site. You can't deny that. Nobody can deny that. So, and, why hasn't Meta done the same thing? I mean, they clearly followed the idea of making check marks, getting that blue check mark of having it being a paywall now. So they clearly do care. They clearly are looking very closely into the tech world. So what's the deal here? That's the biggest disappointment I have with this. It's just, you could have dealt with this. You could have dealt with this easier. And, just a reminder, this is just, all this being said, it's a reminder for parents to get your kids off these social media platforms. There's almost no benefit for them to use it when you don't even know what your child is looking at, with the moderation being this bad. You're just going to make your child envious, and it's going to make them socially awkward in the future. They won't be able to look at a real person without thinking some fear. If you're a child, if you're a teenager or you're whatever, you're still living with your parents, and you have like parental controls, just, you're better pulling the plug now than having to deal with the consequences later. If your child's still living with your parents, please tell the parents about this if they don't know already. The word needs to be spread about this article. But it goes beyond child exploitation, though. It's not just child exploitation. I wouldn't have talked about it, if it was just that. Because the reality, the harsh reality is that it's everywhere. It's a problem, right? But there's also just, borderline illegal content on there. In fact, some of these issues that I said I was going to mention during my history section has become a massive controversy. These are massive controversies, and they stem back all the way back to 2013. And and these controversies, they're not just Instagram. It's been a theme of many of these platforms, but we're going to use Instagram as an example. So, let's go over the drug trafficking controversy. Now, for this, I'm not going to, for this kind of events, I'm not going to give a source for every story. I'll give you a source for the initial reporting, but, there are literally hundreds of articles out there and an entire Vice documentary only 2 years ago that were made, 8 years after the controversy. You could go research that, find that yourself. You don't need me to tell you every single story. Go look to your own discretion, of course. In 2013, the BBC discovered that users based in the United States were posting pictures of the drugs they were selling under specific hashtags. And under these profiles, these accounts, they would message, and they'll go to services like WhatsApp, which at this point were still which at this point was encrypted at the time. Facebook didn't really have as far as I know, Facebook didn't own it, didn't have as much of a backwall as it does now. We'll talk about that later. But what they found more shocking was that it only took 2 taps. That's it. And in response to this report and, in response to this controversy, Instagram was quick to crack down on these hashtags that people were using, like all these drug names. I'm not going to mention them here, but all these drugs, Instagram removed them. They're all removed. They're all gone. But these hashtags would very easily become circumvented. And not only this, but these criminals these criminals would just pop up on users' recommended feeds. And it would affect teens the most. Getting teens on the drugs. Illegal drugs at that. And you might be saying, well, it's not like you can buy the drugs there. Instagram, sure, yeah, Instagram is sharing photos and videos at the end of the day. I get it. But this mentality is the reason that they haven't done much about it. It's still a problem to this day. It's a reason it's still a problem. And if you're seeing a pattern, it's that Instagram and more largely Facebook and Meta, they have incredibly bad moderation when it comes to their platform, But, understandable. Under Section 230, it's not like they can legally, they're not legally responsible for the actions of users at the end of the day. And it should stay that way. Platforms are not, ultimately, they're not responsible for the actions of their users. It's how the law has been. Trying to refute it is just, it's not really worth the effort. It only makes social media worse and more, they'll make them crack down a lot. But despite Section 230 existing, it says a lot about your company as a whole or your site as a whole when it has a reputation for horrible moderation. Just complete irresponsibility, no even will to take responsibility for any of the things that happen. This mentality is a reason that we have this issue in the first place. I'm not saying to go lobby to remove Section 230. I'm not for that. I think it's a stupid idea, but still, I'll note that it's always been a problem, not just, for Instagram. It's always been a problem on Instagram, but it's been a problem for other social media platforms. And the reason I note Instagram is, one, it's the most controversial. Look at the stories, look at all that. Literally just search Instagram drugs and you'll find a lot of stuff about it. Because it's like Instagram has incredibly lax moderation, but as soon as you go to a prominent figure that speaks out against them, banned. They'll ban plenty of people that speak out against it or speak out against this activity. But illegal activity? Yeah. Go right ahead. Right? With all this, with all this mental health statistics and stories and other horrifying information coming out on Instagram, you imagine Meta would do something about this platform. But you know what they did instead? They considered making a kid's version of the app. Hear me. I'm looking you directly in the face. A kid's version of the app. Now, you could already imagine how bad it is for teenage and adult users of the platform. But imagine that for children ages 10 to 12. No need to pause. I'm going to make you think about it. I want you to really feel what I'm getting. If your mind was filled with absolute disgust and horror, you probably think that because you know subconsciously in your head that Instagram is pretty bad for its users. In fact, Adam Mosseri, CEO of Instagram right now, said so in a blog post responding to this outrage. And he even acknowledges that kids under the ages of 13 are already using Instagram. And he uses that to justify creating a kids version instead of making it maybe a little bit harder to get in. And I get it. It's a real problem that's only been getting worse with time. And other platforms like YouTube and TikTok have already made their versions of the platforms for kids. And you can imagine, and if you do some digging on that, you'll realize a similar issue. And you'll see why making a kids app for Instagram would be deadly. Thank God, thank God, dude, that this news has received so much that when it came out initially that it was being planned, it was leaked, right? It received so much backlash from lawmakers and other organizations like Common Sense Media, which is like, a tool for parents to use so they could tell, see, hey, what should your child see? What media should they consume? Who's it for, right? Because in a lot of these organizations, despite being seemingly out of touch, right? They're out of touch, right? Most of these people, that's the reality of things. If you don't think so, I don't know what planet you're living on. But if even these people understand the implication, parents probably, I'd hope so, to some extent, I would hope they know about this. But, you're probably in a position where, like, what do I do, You just don't know what to do, right? So why are you using Instagram if you know all of this stuff? And, they're making it for kids. Your friends, funny videos, the little obscure thing that you couldn't find anywhere else. If you're using Instagram for trivial reasons like those, what does that say about your character, prioritizing your mental health, or the safety of others around you? What does that say about you? That you're so weak-minded that you would rather waste time pleasuring yourself and getting yourself emotionally engaged in this stupid, trivial bull than to help your mental health, work on it. See the natural beauty of the world, experience it with your eyes, not have a damn selfie stick, soaring up, What are you doing? I get it to an extent. I understand it. After all, I had a similar mindset. I never really thought there would be a point of no return. Where you become so mentally damaged, your brain becomes so damaged that it becomes nigh impossible to recover. If there's one thing you could learn, to deal with all these effects is get out while you still can. Please heed my warning. But you probably don't know where to even start because it's a lot harder than it seems. That's what it's been for a lot of these people. It's really hard to quit social media for some people because, they'll uninstall, they'll reinstall it in the next day or two. So here's my solution. Here's my solutions. Here's my advice. I've made it so clear. I've made my points and opinions about this platform very clear. I do not like it. It's not good for you. I do not think it's good for anyone to use. For most people. You understand all the studies and all the problems in this app, and you're probably asking yourself, how do I quit? How do I get out? How do I get out of here? I'll hear a lot of people say when I ask them about, why are you still using Instagram? Why are you leaving me? So, I stay to be updated with my friends and family. I just use it for networking. Most likely you're not using it for family. I'm pretty sure you're not. I don't think most of your family would want to see your Instagram or what you're looking at. They'd probably be disappointed. I use it for networking. That's another common thing. And to that I say the friends and network that those are just things, those things that you're trying to appeal to. Most of them are probably fake, or you're probably overestimating their actual like impact on you. You're overestimating how important they are to you. And some of these people are probably people you shouldn't even be looking up to. You probably shouldn't be following some of these people. You probably shouldn't be with these friends, some of these people. I would go with that step. If anyone gave a crap, if anyone cared, if anyone really cared about your mental health, and you said that, like, when you said you were contemplating leaving Instagram, they would have contacted you somewhere else. They would have DM'd, or maybe they would have DM'd you on Instagram. Hey, how can I help? Do you want to talk about it in this over here on this thing? Hey, what can I do? Those are the right questions that should be asked. You would have been contacted. I did the same thing. I said, listen, I'm going to leave. My mental health is just messed up. And I just said that I said I'd leave 24, 48 hours. DM me. DM me if you want contact. DM me. Not a single person. My eyes are really crossed, Jesus Christ. Not a single person. Not a single person DM'd me. No. Let me take that back. One person DM'd me, and I had a nice conversation with them. And, I wish I could, I wish that maybe one of these days I'll talk to them again or something. I won't get their phone number or something. But one of these days I wish I could contact them. But one person. And it wasn't my best friends, most of them, they were already on Discord. They were contacting me elsewhere. But the fact that I got no DMs at all, that says a lot. That says a lot. A true friend is someone that actually cares for you and will, help you. They'll check up on your mental health because that's what they care about, right? And the thing is that, when I did leave, it's like, nobody DM'd me, but these people were like, oh, yeah, I'm really proud of you for leaving and, doing it for your mental health. Do it for you, man. Social media is so bad. It's so toxic, And I just see that. It's like, it's so fake, man. Why don't you DM me? Why didn't you tell me about it? Why didn't you just tell me, hey, yeah, I agree with you? Like, our world's so messed up by these social media platforms and like schools and stuff that it's like we can't even bother to help other people with their addictions because we're addicted too. We're addicted to all this stuff and we can't even bother to help anyone anymore. We don't even do that. And these studies undoubtedly prove this app is really bad. This app is bad for people. Do not use it, right? Avoid it. And it's time and time again. I see people, I'm frustrated that people justify the reason to use a platform instead of just forming human connection. At most, I'm just using my phone. I'm just using, it's not even nearby me. I'm just using my phone, like just texting people on my the messaging service, or whatever. All right. Well, with all this said, I need you to do this. Make a post or a story. Maybe preferably a post because probably more people will see that. And, do both, really. Saying that, it could be a video too. It's just saying that you're going to leave Instagram 24 to 48 hours or however long, it could be a week. And you're doing this because I want to improve my mental health. Social media has been taking a toll on me. And see how many people DM you. Maybe how many people are you going to have a deep conversation with about this? See how many of those people that are your so-called friends, let's see how many of them actually care. Maybe they might have been busy and they're not using their phone, whatever. They're on a retreat or something like that, whatever, right? But that doesn't apply to most people. Just say, if you're wondering like an alternative messaging service, just use go to Discord or Snapchat, just something that you use, not Snapchat. Snapchat's terrible, but go to Discord or go to use Signal. Much more secure there. You don't have to worry about your conversations getting leaked. The FBI can't do anything about it. And just say if people genuinely care about them, that you'll be DM'd on Instagram. Let's see how much actually care. Let's see how many. Let's see the number. It's probably less than 10. Let's be real. More than 10. Congratulations, you got a really good network of friends, but I doubt it. And if it is more than 10, it's most likely just family members or your group or whatever, right? If they DM you, congratulations, you got a good friend. You talk with them, you have a deep conversation. Congratulations. You have a pretty good friend, and you should keep them. Maybe you could help guide them along with you on this journey. But if you get a hostile comment, or you just get ignored, and you're like, "Oh, don't leave! We need you. We need to talk to you. We need to do this or whatever." Screw them. Bye. Don't ever talk. Don't just leave them. You don't need to get into a screaming match. You don't need to you don't need to do anything crazy. You don't need to have a massive falling out where you're screaming at each other. You're wasting your energy doing that. Just ignore them and leave. You're literally better off not arguing with them. That person was most likely never your friend anyways. You're better off leaving them. Just bye, leave them. They're gone. Bye. No more. I don't want to talk to you. It's too toxic, right? Surround yourself with better people, because you are the average of your 5 friends. That is the reality of things. And so, maybe not for following random celebrities or whatever, but certainly for actual friends and people you talk to, I would hope so. Maybe you'll finally talk in real life. Maybe you'll go and talk to each other. You go outside. You'll go on a hike or something. I started doing that with my friends, and I had some really good memories. Even though it was just a few, but I had some really good memories. I still talk to some of these people to this day, because despite me having some disagreements between them, we get along, right? Because let's be real. At the end of the day, you're not really using it to be successful. You're not trying to be successful. You're not doing it because you want to be successful. You might be trying to do it to be successful or whatever. But the reality is, you're not that guy. You are not that businessman. You are not that massive influencer who just is really good at marketing and has figured everything out. You are not that guy. You are not that lone wolf. Stop posting these random quotes and start taking action. You are just an average guy, either texting your friends, sending each other whatever memes and whatever stuff these days, or you're just mindlessly scrolling. So you're like, he's just like me for real. He's just like me. That guy, such a Sigma male, Please go outside, get some human connection. As for what you do after you delete Instagram, my hope is that you find more healthier methods of socialization. I never said this would be easy. I'm quite the opposite. In fact, I told you the opposite, This is me telling you to muster up the courage have some courage, take a deep breath, and go going somewhere and finding someone, or start talking to your friends in person. Contact them, hey, let's go meet, on a weekend. Maybe we're not working. None of us are working. Or maybe do a group call if you're like, you're doing a long distance. If you don't have any friends, go to the gym, church, some sort of gathering place that isn't full of degeneracy. Don't go to like a party and like get your feet don't do that. But I'm fully aware. I totally get it, right? There's not a lot of these places, realistic places where young people could just meet outside. They could go, they have this really wonderful thing, I get it. Outside of like high school and college, I guess, or because even like a sports club, even like gym, sometimes it's like populated with like older folk. I've had that experience. You go to New York, it's like filled with old people these days. Western New York, man, filled with old people. But the thing, believe it or not, finding someone who's like-minded to you, finding like-minded young people who want to just get out and they want to leave this escapism. They want to go back to reality. They're a lot more common. They're not unicorns. They're a lot more common than you think. Like, I know this because I've talked to them, mind you. The only thing they need is guidance. They're just lost. They don't know what to do. So, you meet someone new, someone dude, as you start a conversation, just bring up, I left Instagram. I'm turning a new leaf, or I want to meet new people in real life, and I want to use social media. That makes for at least for the right people, that makes an interesting conversation. Oh yeah, I use Instagram. I've considered leaving for a little bit. Maybe I'll just go. And you can tell them about this whole thing, or you can share this video. And I've learned this a lot, that not only does it make for an interesting conversation, it's something that'll earn you the respect of so many people, at least the ones that you want to be around. The ones that don't respect that, whatever, they weren't ever going to be friends. If they're doing this kind of weird lifestyle stuff, you don't need to be friends with them. They're not the people for you. Don't get attached to them. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Do not worry. For those people that you're talking to that are contemplating doing it, leaving Instagram, just positively reinforce that behavior. Don't be like, yeah, go do it, man. Like, I'm encouraging you. I'm rooting for you. I'll help you out. Positively reinforce that behavior, because this is a sort of, I swear I'm guilty of not doing this. I was guilty of not doing this a lot, but just positive reinforcement, praise is the best way to influence someone. Praise the good behaviors that they do, and they'll keep doing it. Praise them. Don't praise them in the comments of the recent Instagram post. Praise them that, they're talking to you in real life, or to do something nice for you. Something a little nice. Even if it's small, right? When people feel appreciated, that they're doing something, they don't feel like something's wrong with their decision. I felt when I wasn't really praised for leaving Instagram. I felt deeply wrong. Like, what did I do? I just left everyone. I left everyone at dust. If you're nervous, I understand. I was a very social. I still kind of am a very socially awkward kid. 19 years old. Thank you, autism, for making my brain different, I guess. But if you're nervous, like I certainly have, just take a deep breath before you enter whatever gathering place, or before you go see your friends again, or whatever it is. Take a deep breath, and this is just advice to take in general. Just before you do something big, before you make a drastic decision, just Just do that. Fully with your nose. Take a hold for a minute. And don't be afraid to go with, full, use your full belly to breathe, right? And you'll do good out there. I'm rooting for you. I know I just overwhelmed you with a lot of information. In fact, there's probably so much information that I would like to give about, Meta and, such as privacy concerns, a messaging service, and other things about the company, but I wanted to limit the scope of this video to Instagram. Don't worry, I'll talk about those in a different future video, as I do more research and stuff. But before you go, I'll give you an important tip for what you could do for, your internet addiction in general. Because face it, if you're watching this, you're most likely addicted as well. I'm sort of am to an extent too. The YouTuber Hamza has talked about this extensively in his recent videos, and that's deep breathing and meditation. Now, I've already shown deep breathing, and you might be asking, what are you talking about? How does this help me with my internet addiction? My answer to that is you're going to become more conscious. You're going to be thinking more. You're going to be more self-aware. When you meditate, you're closing your eyes and you're just you're looking at nothing. All you have is your thoughts. You're sitting down, nice posture, and you're just acknowledging your thoughts and just letting them pass by. Having full awareness, not being lost in thought, but being fully aware. You might start with just a minute, right? You might just start with a minute meditation. It only takes a few minutes of time. Start a minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes if you are challenged. Go 10 minutes, go 15, go as long as you want. And take those full deep breaths as you're doing it. Focus on the breath. There's other forms of meditation out there, and I'm sure most of them are probably beneficial, but like deep breathing meditation, one where you focus on your thoughts, that'll do you a lot of favors as a habit, especially as we delve deeper into this issue of social media. So, all that being said is, I want to give some sort of I'll give you another article. The article that was sort of final motivation for me was that I was just doing this while researching Instagram. I was trying to look at these networks, and I found a random Wired article while researching some of the bad that goes on. And, it tells a story of this blogger with, passion for blogging, right? As Instagram became more popular, started taking a monopoly on blogging. So eventually, she started using Instagram in addition to updating her blog, so that way she can spread the message about her blog. She could get people to get on her blog, right? Second highest when it comes to social media marketing, right? And I sort of thought, why am I reading this article? This is really generic. I really do. Do I even need this for my research? And I read on because I was like, I'll read it, right? More reading, more I read, better that I'm going to do habitually, right? Not any of this whatever weird stuff I'm doing, right? Well, then I look at this article, and it mentions that the author of the article in question, she talked about 20 or so influencers and bloggers, and this was a big reason. The big reason these people are some of these people are wanting to leave or are actively leaving Instagram is because they feel that the algorithms are only promoting certain behaviors on the site. The CEO could claim all he wants that, Instagram doesn't promote certain behavior. Yes, it does. Every algorithm does it. YouTube isn't lying. You could say YouTube isn't, it's kind of like saying that YouTube doesn't promote flashy thumbnails and Mr. Beast style content. Sure, it doesn't. They're not actively trying to promote it, but that's because of how the algorithm is structured. that's what's being promoted. The clickbait and all that stuff, that is what's being promoted. You need to understand. Like, you know, CEO could claim that all he wants, but that is an outright lie, I would say. And this article kind of made me realize when it comes to social media, even influencers, social media, they don't want, and I imagine for most of you guys, you don't want to entirely just go away and vanish. But you use it because you feel it's the best, it's all you have. It's the best way. And that's the biggest reason I made this video. I want you to know and I want to help you guys understand the red flags of Instagram. Not just Instagram, but these future social medias I cover. So that maybe someone out there, someone with a brain, someone with someone who has good ideas, someone can start coming up with great ideas and innovate. So make something better. And I don't know how good Be Real is, but some people are telling me it's way better than Instagram, way more authentic. With a lot of these social medias lately, it seems that many people are sort of starting to hit their last straws, and they're starting to be pushed out to other sites just due to the fact that there's so many bad decisions from these companies. You can only take so much. It's not like you have an unlimited capacity for just getting defeated, getting screwed over, right? Eventually they'll leave. Eventually people leave. Even if it's after years, people leave. People will leave. In the long run, right? You do bad things. If your company just keeps doing bad after bad things, people will eventually leave. Even if you think you have control of them, human nature always persists, and they will leave. So, if I'm a betting man, I bet money. I would, I invest some money to a stock or something. Not giving financial, not a stock. Let's just say not a stock. But I'm going to bet on people that there's going to be people out there that learn from the mistakes of Silicon Valley. And they're going to use that knowledge to create a better product and a more ethical product. In fact, with this channel, that's the message I want to spread. And that's being creative, making something new out of something that, out of something bad, right? Man. Whew. That was a long recording. This is my first ever video on this channel, and I'm really glad that whoever watched this got something out of it. It means the world to me. Now, we'll see whether or not this video hits the algorithm. I'm okay if it doesn't do the best. Anyways, the next video in this series will be about TikTok. I'm aware it has potential to get banned in America. It's already been banned in the state of Montana, like I mentioned. But I feel as if it is important to speak about it in the case that another competitor arises for the U.S., or gets bought out by American subsidiary gets bought out by Walmart or something. I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but in the case that it happens, that and it's also for the hundreds of millions of users are using this site whose brains have been completely messed up by the amount of content on there, in regards to its attention span and all this sort of stuff that I'll talk about. Anyways. All the sources, all the articles, they're in a paste bin in the description. You can take a look. If you want to fact check me, I archived them, so I posted the archive links so that way you can actually view them and take a look at them. Because some of these are blocked by a paywall, so you can actually read everything it says. So, I'm not lying. I'm not trying to make it pay for anything. And also in the case that they get edited or something. Anyways, always remember, guys, when you wake up, you gotta get out of bed too. Keep your feet on the ground. Thanks for watching.